The galaxy had always looked down on humanity with a mixture of amusement and mild contempt, and the Council of Nine, the ruling assembly of the Galactic Coalition, had long considered Earth a backwater of no real consequence, a small blue-green planet with primitive technology, and a species that might entertain themselves with wars amongst themselves, but could never reach the stars in any meaningful way. Yet the humans had quietly watched, learned, and built, not with fanfare or announcements, but with a relentless, patient diligence that only a species aware of its fragility could master. And the first warning came not as a battle cry, but as an unusual diplomatic message delivered by the human ambassador, Alan Richards, a man of average height, dark hair, and an unassuming demeanor, yet with a mind as sharp as the most advanced artificial intelligence the Council had ever designed. And when he spoke to the Council, his words carried a calm certainty that unsettled even the oldest and most experienced alien representatives. And he did not threaten, he did not boast. He simply presented facts, charts, and projections that demonstrated the scale and depth of humanity's technological advancements. Advancements that had gone unnoticed because the Council had simply refused to believe that humans could achieve such sophistication without the flamboyant displays common among more advanced civilizations. And in the quiet corridors of the Council's grand chamber, whispers spread, like wildfire, not from humans, but from the aliens themselves, each trying to process what Alan Richards had presented. And yet the humans did not linger on the political ramifications. They returned to Earth and to the construction of their fleet, the immense ships designed not for show but for efficiency, stealth, and devastating impact. And each ship was a testament to humanity's ingenuity, with propulsion systems that defied conventional physics known to the galaxy, weapons that manipulated energy in ways that no alien civilization could anticipate, and communication networks that allowed instantaneous coordination over interstellar distances without detection. And behind the scenes, scientists like Emily Tran, a physicist with a mind as disciplined as a master chess player, and Commander Lucas Hayes, a tactician whose strategies were already the subject of clandestine study by the Council's military analysts, worked tirelessly to perfect every system, every calculation, every possible contingency, while the Council continued its internal debates, dismissing the warnings, mocking the humans, and assuming that even if humans had some secret project, it would be years, decades, or even centuries before it reached operational capability, and that arrogance would be their undoing, because by the time the humans were ready, they had not only built a fleet capable of unmatched destruction, but had also developed the means to cloak their presence until the precise moment of attack. And the day the Council finally realized the extent of human preparation began like any other, with routine reports arriving at the command centers of the Coalition's naval forces, reports that noted unusual energy fluctuations in the outer sectors near Earth's orbit, which at first were dismissed as natural anomalies, cosmic interference, or minor technical glitches. But as the hours passed, the anomalies grew more structured, more patterned, and then the first human ship, invisible to conventional sensors, appeared on a trajectory that could have been interpreted as a navigational error, if not for the sudden disappearance of several survey drones sent to investigate, and panic began to ripple through the Council's command, and the fleet commanders, including Admiral Threx of the Sarnax Dominion, a towering reptilian being with scales that shimmered like molten metal and eyes that reflected centuries of experience, ordered scans, maneuvers, and defensive postures. Yet each action was anticipated, countered, or rendered irrelevant by systems the humans had perfected in secrecy. And as the fleet closed and confronted what they thought was a small contingent of human vessels, the humans activated the first phase of their weapon, a technology so advanced it manipulated gravitational fields to create localized distortions that tore through cohesion of matter itself. And entire cruisers, massive ships that had been the pride of their respective empires, disintegrated in moments, leaving only twisted remnants floating helplessly in the void, and the aliens could only watch in horror as their centuries-old doctrines and fleets crumbled under an attack that they had never conceived as possible. And from Earth, the human commanders observed the destruction to their tactical rays, maintaining calm communication with each other, issuing orders that were precise, concise, and flawlessly executed, and there was no celebration, only the cold efficiency of a species that understood that survival required clarity, discipline, and the ruthless application of knowledge. And as the seconds turned to minutes, the Council scrambled desperately, deploying reinforcements from nearby sectors. calling upon allies who had never before engaged in open conflict with humanity, and each attempt to respond was met with devastating countermeasures. Whether it was energy grids that absorbed and redirected their attacks, drones that infiltrated, their systems to disable controls, or the precise targeting of critical ship components with nanotechnology that operated faster than any alien eye could track, and within a span of hours, the so-called greatest fleets of the galaxy had been reduced to wreckage, the Council's credibility shattered, and the aliens who had once looked upon humans with scorn now faced the grim reality that they had underestimated a species capable of planning, patience, and execution on a scale that rivaled or exceeded any other civilization in existence. And amidst the carnage, human soldiers, pilots, and engineers remained calm, their communications filled with strategic directives rather than panic, ensuring that every maneuver, every attack, and every defense was conducted with maximum efficiency and minimal loss. And the story of humanity's rise from a dismissed, underestimated species to a force capable of obliterating entire fleets was not just a tale of technology, but a psychology, foresight, and relentless determination. For humans had studied the patterns, behaviors, and overconfidence of their enemies for decades, exploiting weaknesses of the aliens that assumed were irrelevant or impossible to exploit. And as the final remnants of the alien fleet attempted to retreat, only to be met with precise interdictions and the full might of human firepower, the Council finally understood the catastrophic error of their assumptions, and within the communications of the few surviving alien vessels, there were messages filled with disbelief, terror, and pleas for negotiation. Yet humanity maintained its stance, not out of cruelty, but from the necessity of securing its survival. And in those hours, Earth became not just a planet, but the center of a galaxy force that acknowledged that underestimation of humans was a fatal mistake. And the aftermath would reshape politics, trade, military doctrines, and alliances across hundreds of systems. For the legacy of that day was clear. Humanity had proven, with absolute clarity, that when cornered, underestimated, or threatened, it could wield its intelligence, ingenuity, and unity in ways that were utterly transformative and utterly devastating. And the story of the human secret weapon would spread faster than any rumor, legend, or report, serving as a cautionary tale for civilizations who assumed superiority without understanding the depth of human potential. And as the Council convened an emergency session, debates turned to fear, strategy, and the realization that Earth was no longer a backwater, but the fulcrum upon which the balance of power in the galaxy now rested. And from the silent command centers on the planet, human leaders monitored the aftermath, aware that their actions had forever changed interstellar dynamics, yet committed to careful, calculated steps forward. For they knew that the galaxy would adapt, evolve, and attempt retaliation, and so humanity, prepared not for conquest, but for the assurance that it would never again be underestimated, that its capacity for strategy, technological brilliance, and coordinated action would remain unmatched, and the echoes of that first devastating strike would resonate in the minds of alien civilizations for generations, a stark reminder that in a universe filled with arrogance and assumptions, the quiet, diligent, underestimated species from a small blue-green planet had shattered an entire fleet, rewritten the rules of engagement, and declared, without words of boast, that humanity's time had come, and the galaxy would never forget it. And in those quiet moments following the initial destruction, scientists, military strategists, and leaders on Earth worked not on vengeance, but on reinforcement, expansion, and understanding, ensuring that every aspect of their new position in the galaxy was secure, that their fleets could defend, retreat, or strike with precision, and that every intelligence channel, diplomatic contact, and technological resource was prepared for the inevitable response from civilizations that had underestimated them. And as the sun set over Earth's horizon, humans paused not in arrogance, but in reflection, aware that their secret weapon had not just destroyed ships, but had shifted the very perception of what humanity could achieve, instilling both fear and respect across the stars. And this was only the beginning, for the humans had revealed their power, but the story of their rise, their strategy, and the full implications of their existence in the galactic order was far from complete, setting the stage for conflicts, negotiations, and triumphs that would challenge the imagination of any civilization that had ever doubted the underestimated species from Earth. In the wake of the catastrophic destruction of the Council's fleet, human strategists did not waste time celebrating, for they understood that the initial shock and awe had won them a temporary advantage, but had also set in motion a cascade of responses that would test every aspect of their preparedness. and in secure command centers deep beneath the Earth's surface, Admiral Lucas Hayes convened with Dr. Emily Tran, Chief Engineer Marco Delgado, and Ambassador Alan Richards to analyze intercepted communications, sensor data, and field reports from the remnants of the alien forces, noting patterns of movement, attempts at regrouping, and signals that suggested the surviving factions were already coordinating counterattacks across multiple sectors. Yet humanity's advantage was not solely in weaponry, but in their ability to predict, adapt, and outmaneuver opponents who assumed that technological superiority alone guaranteed dominance. And as Earth's fleet expanded beyond the immediate solar system, the humans deployed stealth reconnaissance ships equipped with cloaking devices and advanced quantum sensors to probe systems the aliens considered secure, gathering intelligence on defensive arrays, fleet formations, and political vulnerabilities. And every report fed back into a growing model of galactic dynamics that allowed the human command to simulate countless outcomes and prepare contingencies for scenarios the Council had never conceived. And while the alien leadership convened in frantic emergency sessions, debating whether to sue for peace, launch retaliatory strikes, or consolidate their remaining forces, humans quietly perfected their coordination protocols, enhancing intership communication channels, integrating AI-assisted decision matrices, and refining tactical algorithms that combine the intuition and creativity of human commanders with the computational speed of advanced processors. And across the galaxy, small skirmishes erupted as surviving alien vessels attempted to test human defenses, only to encounter traps, ambushes, and countermeasures that dismantled their formations with precision, demonstrating that the destruction of the initial fleet was no anomaly, but the first visible manifestation of a strategic framework that humanity had been cultivating in secret for decades. And the psychological effect on alien populations was profound, for messages of fear, caution, and disbelief spread faster than the fleets could travel, eroding confidence in the Council's ability to govern, and creating fissures among allied species who began to question their continued alignment with leaders who had underestimated humans so completely. And as the humans advanced further into contested regions, they revealed not only firepower, but also mastery of terrain, orbital maneuvers, and gravitational fields, enabling them to control engagements with surgical accuracy. And when human diplomats reached out through secure channels, not to boast but to convey the consequences of continued aggression, the messages carried an unmistakable undertone of authority and inevitability, that humanity had transcended the label of minor species and had positioned itself as a decisive force in galactic affairs. And the alien commanders, including Admiral Threx and General Calyx of the Therax Collective, attempted to formulate new doctrines, mobilize hidden reserves, and employ experimental technologies, yet every measure was anticipated, countered, or neutralized by humans whose understanding of their opponent's psychology, technology, and strategic habits exceeded anything the aliens had previously experienced. And while battles raged in space, Earth's leaders coordinated efforts across multiple sectors, integrating military intelligence with scientific research and diplomatic outreach, ensuring that each human action reinforced both the defensive posture and the growing influence humanity now wielded. And as news of successive victories reached distant colonies and outposts, human morale soared, not in arrogance, but in the sober recognition that their species had achieved a level of capability and unity previously thought impossible, and every engagement reinforced lessons learned, new technologies tested under live conditions. And the psychological dominance of humans over the Council's remnants grew with each passing day. And in parallel, cold human operatives infiltrated key sectors to undermine supply lines, sabotage experimental weapons, and gather intelligence that would inform the next phase of operations, always maintaining discipline, restraint, and focus on long-term objectives rather than short-term glory. And the aliens, realizing that conventional strategies and brute force were insufficient, began to experience internal dissent, with factions arguing over whether to continue resistance, negotiate with humans, or retreat to isolated strongholds. And this disunity played directly into human hands, as strategic targets could be prioritized, high-value systems isolated, and the remaining alien fleets divided and conquered before they could reunite. And as months passed, humanity established control over critical corridors of space, not through occupation alone, but through a combination of deterrence, technological superiority, and carefully calculated psychological pressure, and every move sent a clear message across the galaxy. Humans were no longer a species to dismiss, mock, or attempt to dominate, for they had revealed an unprecedented capacity for strategic planning, engineering brilliance, and coordinated execution, and their secret weapon, once thought to be a singular marvel, was only the first manifestation of a larger, integrated framework of military, technological, and intelligence capabilities that would shape the future of interstellar politics, trade, and power. And even as the Council convened to reassess their position, the humans continued refining their fleets, deploying advanced defensive grids, hyper-efficient supply chains, and self-repairing ships that could operate autonomously in the most hostile conditions, ensuring that every victory, every maneuver, and every strategic choice contributed to consolidation of humanity's position and the alien populations, witnessing the precision, restraint, and capability of human forces, began to shift from fear to grudging respect, recognizing that underestimation had been their greatest mistake, and the humans, ever disciplined, continued forward with a clarity of purpose that had allowed them to rise from a dismissed species to the dominant force in contested regions. And as new intelligence arrived detailing hidden experimental weapons of the Council and potential alliances forming among sympathetic alien factions, humans assessed, adapted, and neutralized threats preemptively, maintaining not only tactical superiority, but also the initiative, ensuring that the galaxy's perception of humans will remain that of an unpredictable, formidable, and intelligent species whose potential could not be contained, controlled, or ignored. And throughout every engagement, the leadership on Earth, including Ambassador Richards, Commander Hayes, and Dr. Tran, coordinated with field commanders, scientists, and engineers to integrate lessons, optimize strategies, and maintain operational security, creating a feedback loop that amplified human effectiveness. And while the alien forces scrambled, innovated, and attempted improvisation, they faced a species whose long-term vision, adaptability, and relentless pursuit of excellence had already outpaced centuries of traditional military doctrine. And as victories mounted, humanity's position in the galaxy solidified not through reckless conquest, but through calculated, measured demonstrations of strength, intelligence, and resolve, establishing a precedent that any future engagements would require respect, careful planning, and acknowledgement that the underestimated species from Earth had redefined the limits of possibility, reshaping the very dynamics of interstellar relations, and leaving an indelible mark on the galaxy that will be remembered in communications, records, and stories for generations to come. And as the humans paused briefly to assess the evolving situation, they did so with the quiet confidence of those who had prepared, calculated, and executed flawlessly, knowing that the coming months and years would further cement humanity's place as a decisive, strategic, and technologically superior force capable of defending itself, projecting influence, and ensuring that the mistakes of the Council and its allies would never be repeated, for humanity had proven that underestimation was a fatal error, and that the combination of intellect, discipline, and ingenuity could shatter entire fleets, disrupt centuries-old political structures, and forever alter the balance of power across the stars. And as the galaxy watched, humans prepared not only for war, but for the careful shaping of a future in which their species would be respected, feared, and understood, a future that had begun with the deployment of a secret weapon that shattered an entire fleet, and had only just begun to reveal the full extent of human capability, resilience, and dominance. With the initial shock of their overwhelming strike still reverberating across galactic communications, humanity began to expand its influence beyond immediate defensive and tactical objectives, not through indiscriminate conquest, but through a careful projection of strength and subtle diplomacy, using the fear and respect they had earned to reshape alliances, destabilize hostile coalitions, and secure critical systems, and in command centers across Earth and allied human-controlled sectors. Admiral Lucas Hayes, Dr. Emily Tran, and Ambassador Alan Richards worked in concert to coordinate every aspect of this complex operation, integrating intelligence reports from stealth reconnaissance missions, sensor arrays, and intercepted communications into predictive models that allowed humans to anticipate moves before their adversaries could execute them. And while the remnants of the Council's fleet struggled to recover, humans deployed specialized strike teams equipped with modular warships that could adapt on the fly to different combat scenarios, combining energy manipulation, gravitational distortions, and advanced targeting systems that render conventional defenses useless. And across multiple fronts, human pilots executed maneuvers that seemed to defy physics, using sudden changes in vector, hyperacceleration bursts, and quantum cloaking to appear and vanish at will, leaving alien forces disoriented, unable to coordinate effectively, and increasingly demoralized. And as reports of human successes spread, previously neutral or undecided civilizations began to reach out covertly to initiate contact, offering alliances, trade agreements, and intelligence sharing, knowing that aligning with humans was no longer a question of diplomacy, but of survival. And while Earth's leadership carefully evaluated each proposal, they maintained strict operational security, ensuring that only vetted, strategically advantageous alliances were pursued, and in the process, humanity began to establish a network of influence that extended far beyond any individual fleet or battle, creating an integrated presence that allowed for rapid response, efficient logistics, and coordinated defense across multiple sectors. And this growing web of human control was reinforced by the development of advanced autonomous drones capable of conducting reconnaissance, sabotage, and precision strikes without direct human intervention, allowing commanders to focus on strategy while the drones executed complex tasks with flawless accuracy. And as alien factions attempted to test human capabilities, each probe or offensive maneuver was met with preemptive action, often neutralized before it could gain momentum, and every engagement provided data, improved algorithms, and refined tactics, creating a feedback loop that accelerated human effectiveness beyond what any alien species had anticipated. And the psychological impact of this unrelenting efficiency was as powerful as the physical destruction itself. For alien leaders had to contend not only with the loss of fleets and resources, but with the realization that humanity's understanding of strategy, adaptation, and technology exceeded anything the galaxy had previously recorded. And even as humans secured contested sectors, they continued to innovate, deploying advanced shielding systems, energy redirection fields, and modular weapon arrays that could be rapidly reconfigured to counter emerging threats. And in parallel, scientists like Dr. Tran developed sophisticated predictive models to forecast enemy behavior, identify vulnerabilities, and design countermeasures in real time, while Admiral Hayes orchestrated complex maneuvers that leveraged these insights, ensuring that human forces were always one step ahead. And the alien commanders, including Admiral Threx and General Calix, found themselves in a reactive position, constantly forced to adjust, adapt, and improvise in ways that left them exhausted, fragmented, and increasingly desperate. And across the galaxy, rumors of human capability spread faster than any fleet could travel, creating a network of fear, caution, and grudging respect that further isolated hostile factions and encouraged affections, with some alien systems quietly assisting human operations to avoid annihilation, and every action, whether military, diplomatic, or technological, was guided by a long-term vision of establishing human dominance through precision, intelligence, and control rather than mere destruction. And as months turned into years, the humans systematically expanded their operational sphere, securing key hyperspace corridors, resource-rich star systems, and strategic orbital positions, all while maintaining strict discipline, communication integrity, and operational security. And even as new alien coalitions attempted coordinated offensives, they were met with preemptive strikes, ambushes, and tactical traps that neutralized their advantages and inflicted heavy losses. And the cumulative effect of these campaigns was not only the physical dismantling of enemy fleets, but the erosion of confidence, trust, and cohesion within their command structures, causing widespread strategic paralysis, internal dissent, and fear, which humans exploited through precise psychological operations, strategic displays of power, and careful manipulation of information to control perceptions and predict responses. And as humanity's influence solidified, the Council's remaining leadership realized that their initial assumptions had been catastrophically flawed, that they had not only underestimated human capability, but fundamentally misunderstood the species' resilience, ingenuity, and adaptability. And this realization sparked debates, blame, and infighting that further weakened their collective response, allowing humans to consolidate control, optimize logistics, and refine tactical doctrines without significant interference. And through all of this, human culture, intelligence networks, and technological development were integrated into a unified operational framework that enabled rapid innovation, effective coordination across thousands of ships, and seamless adaptation to changing conditions, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of improvement that alien civilizations could not hope to match. And while battles continued in pockets across the galaxy, every engagement reinforced humanity's dominance. Every successful operation strengthened alliances and influence, and every defeat of enemy forces demonstrated a combination of patience, planning, and precision that permanently altered the strategic calculus of interstellar warfare. And as humans moved forward, they remained acutely aware of the stakes, never complacent, continuously monitoring threats, refining strategies, and preparing for the inevitable challenges that would arise from civilizations unwilling to accept humanity's new role. And in this period, the story of the human secret weapon evolved beyond a single devastating attack into a broader narrative of strategic mastery, technological innovation, and psychological supremacy, proving that underestimation was not simply a mistake, but a fatal flaw for any species facing humanity. And as the galaxy adjusted to the new reality, humans continued their disciplined expansion, demonstrating that intelligence, ingenuity, and coordinated action were far more decisive than raw numbers or conventional strength, ensuring that every victory, every maneuver, and every system brought under human influence contributed to a long-term position of unrivaled power, respect, and security. And through every step of this campaign, the species from Earth maintained focus, restraint, and clarity of purpose, reinforcing the lesson that the underestimated could become the unstoppable, the dismissed could become the dominant, and the species once thought weak and inconsequential had emerged as the preeminent force in the galaxy, rewriting the rules of engagement, redefining strategic thought, and leaving an indelible mark that would be studied, feared, and respected for generations to come. And even as alien factions attempted desperate measures to resist or negotiate, they found themselves confronted by a species whose unity, discipline, and technological prowess ensured that any challenge could be met, neutralized, and leveraged to further consolidate humanity's position, securing a future in which Earth's inhabitants will be neither ignored nor underestimated, and whose capability to coordinate, adapt, and execute with precision had forever altered the balance of power among the stars. As humanity expanded its influence and control across contested sectors, the alien factions were forced into increasingly desperate maneuvers, scrambling to defend key systems, fortify resource hubs, and coordinate fragmented fleets. Yet every action was anticipated and countered with precision, for human intelligence networks had not only mapped enemy fleets, but studied their decision-making patterns, cultural tendencies, and technological limitations. And with this information, commanders like Admiral Lucas Hayes and Chief Engineer Dr. Emily Tran orchestrated operations that were not only militarily devastating, but psychologically crippling, manipulating expectations, creating diversions, and exploiting fear to achieve objectives without unnecessary risk. And from Earth's secure command centers, Ambassador Alan Richards coordinated diplomatic channels with neutral civilizations and potential allies, leveraging humanity's reputation as both a powerful and disciplined force to secure favorable arrangements that enhance supply chains, intelligence access, and fleet positioning, while ensuring that no engagement was fought without full awareness of both the enemy's capabilities and vulnerabilities. And as alien leaders convened emergency councils to reassess their strategies, they faced the grim reality that their previous assumptions about humans, primitive, disorganized, and technologically inferior, were catastrophically wrong, and internal dissent grew, with some factions advocating negotiation, others seeking total retaliation, and still others considering withdrawal or isolation. And this disunity played directly into human hands, allowing fleets to be defeated piecemeal, critical resources to be captured, and strategic positions secured with minimal resistance. And across the galaxy, humans deployed specialized strike teams equipped with adaptable modular warships capable of rapid reconfiguration, energy manipulation, and gravitational distortion, enabling precise engagement in diverse environments, from dense asteroid fields to massive orbital complexes. And these operations were complemented by autonomous drone networks that could conduct reconnaissance, sabotage, and targeted strikes with flawless execution, feeding real-time data back to Central Command to refine tactics and improve outcomes continuously. And while alien fleets attempted to regroup, their efforts were repeatedly undermined by human superior coordination, predictive modeling, and ability to exploit weaknesses, rendering every offensive maneuver increasingly ineffective. As battles continued, the psychological toll on alien commanders and populations became as significant as the material losses, as fear, mistrust, and confusion spread throughout their ranks, leading to errors, hesitation, and further casualties. And in the meantime, humans maintain operational discipline, alternating between decisive strikes, defensive posturing, and strategic intelligence gathering, ensuring that their dominance was both sustainable and adaptable to new challenges. And this balance of force, strategy, and restraint reinforced humanity's reputation as an unpredictable yet meticulously organized adversary, whose actions could not be countered by conventional doctrine or brute force alone. And within Earth's leadership, careful planning and review cycles ensured that every operation was evaluated, lessons were integrated, and strategies continuously improved, while Dr. Tran and her team developed next-generation technologies, including energy redirection arrays, quantum communication networks, and advanced shielding systems, further solidifying humanity's technological edge. And as alien factions attempted more complex strategies, human analysts anticipated these moves, deploying countermeasures that neutralized attacks before they could gain momentum. And every engagement provided new insights, strengthened alliances, and expanded control, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of capability, influence, and deterrence that alien civilizations struggled to understand or overcome. And as neutral systems observed humanity's precision, discipline, and effectiveness, many sought to align, offering intelligence, resources, and support, while others, previously hostile, reconsidered their positions, recognizing that resistance without careful planning and extraordinary capability was increasingly futile. And across every front, humans demonstrated not only their technological superiority, but also their strategic vision, using precise targeting, rapid deployment, and adaptive tactics to overwhelm forces, secure systems, and control critical hyperspace corridors. And as Earth monitored the expanding operations, leaders emphasized coordination, clarity of purpose, and meticulous execution, reinforcing a culture of discipline, intelligence, and innovation that permeated every aspect of human expansion. And even as the aliens attempted to innovate, develop secret technologies, or coordinate covert strikes, they found themselves consistently one step behind, as humanity's ability to integrate intelligence, strategy, and technological application created a cumulative advantage impossible to counter. And in addition to military dominance, humans carefully shaped the political and economic landscapes of controlled regions, establishing alliances, trade networks, and influence that further strengthened their position while undermining cohesion among alien factions. And this holistic approach ensured that power was not only maintained through force, but reinforced through diplomacy, economics, and strategic presence, creating a multidimensional dominance that the Council and its allies had never encountered. And as years of careful planning and execution unfolded, humanity's reputation became legendary, their secret weapon recognized not as a singular marvel, but as the first visible expression of a larger system of intelligence, coordination, and technological mastery. And the galaxy's understanding of humans shifted irrevocably from a dismissed species to a formidable, disciplined, and unpredictable force capable of shattering fleets, controlling contested regions, and redefining the rules of interstellar engagement. And even as new challenges emerged, Earth's leadership maintained a steady focus, ensuring that every victory was consolidated, every lesson integrated, and every system secured, demonstrating that humanity's rise was neither accidental nor reckless, but the product of decades of preparation, ingenuity, and relentless execution. And the combined effect of these strategies and capabilities permanently altered the strategic calculus of galactic powers, leaving them with the sobering realization that humans were no longer to be underestimated, mocked, or ignored, for the species from Earth had proven itself capable of dominating through intelligence, discipline, technological brilliance, and coordinated action, ensuring that every future interaction, battle, or negotiation would be conducted with a clear understanding that humanity was an unstoppable force whose capabilities would continue to expand, evolve, and define the balance of power across the stars for generations to come. As humanity continued its expansion into contested sectors, the alien factions increasingly realized that conventional military strategies were insufficient to challenge a species capable of such precise coordination, rapid adaptation, and technological innovation. And from Earth's Central Command, Admiral Lucas Hayes and Chief Engineer Dr. Emily Tran oversaw simultaneous operations across multiple fronts, integrating real-time intelligence from stealth reconnaissance, autonomous drones, and quantum sense arrays to anticipate enemy movements, exploit weaknesses, and coordinate fleet maneuvers with unprecedented precision. And Ambassador Alan Richards maintained secure diplomatic channels with neutral or undecided civilizations, leveraging humanity's growing reputation for strategic brilliance, technological mastery, and disciplined execution to form alliances, secure resources, and prevent hostile coalitions from consolidating. And as alien commanders scrambled to reorganize, their efforts were systematically undermined, with every attempted maneuver predicted, countered, or neutralized by humans who had studied their tactics, psychology, and cultural tendencies in exhaustive detail. And even when alien factions attempted unconventional strategies, employing experimental weapons, deceptive maneuvers, or hidden reserves, human forces adapted instantly, deploying modular warships capable of energy manipulation, gravitational distortion, and hyperacceleration to counter threats before they could gain momentum. And autonomous drones executed precision strikes, reconnaissance, and sabotage operations that further eroded enemy capabilities, while intelligence analysts continuously updated predictive models to refine tactical approaches. And through these methods, humans achieved a compounding advantage, gradually dismantling alien fleets, isolating systems, and controlling critical hyperspace corridors. And the psychological impact of these operations was profound, as fear, doubt, and disunity spread among alien populations, leading to internal dissent, flawed decision-making, and further losses. And while humans maintained offensive pressure, they also emphasized operational discipline, careful planning, and integration of lessons learned, ensuring that every victory reinforced long-term strategic objectives, expanded influence, and solidified control over key systems. And as months and years passed, humanity's presence became a decisive factor in interstellar politics, with previously neutral civilizations seeking alliances and trade agreements to secure favor, while hostile factions struggled to coordinate even minor operations. And in response, human engineers continued to advance technology, developing energy redirection shields, adaptive weapon arrays, self-repairing ships, and quantum communication networks that allowed instantaneous coordination across thousands of ships and systems, ensuring that humans maintain both tactical and strategic superiority. And the aliens, confronted with these realities, were forced into reactive positions, constantly adjusting to human movements, improvising responses, and attempting countermeasures that were frequently anticipated and neutralized. And as the scope of human operations widened, leadership on Earth coordinated complex campaigns that combined military precision, diplomatic influence, and technological advantage, creating a multidimensional dominance that reshaped regional and galactic power dynamics. And every engagement further demonstrated humanity's mastery of strategy, logistics, and innovation, with each victory not only neutralizing threats but reinforcing perception of humans as an unstoppable force. And while alien factions debated whether to continue resistance, negotiate, or withdraw, humans continued to expand their operational reach, secure critical infrastructure, and strengthen alliances, ensuring that no region remained uncontested, and that every engagement contributed to a long-term position of unassailable influence. And this holistic approach, integrating diplomacy, intelligence, and technological mastery with precise military action, established a sustainable model of dominance that no alien species had previously encountered. And the cumulative effect of these campaigns permanently altered the balance of power, demonstrating that underestimation, overconfidence, or adherence to conventional doctrines were fatal errors when confronting a species as disciplined, adaptable, and strategically brilliant as humanity. And as humans consolidated their control, developed new technologies, and refined their strategies, the galaxy slowly adjusted to a new reality, one in which the underestimated species from Earth had transformed into the preeminent force capable of dictating the terms of engagement, projecting power across vast distances, and reshaping the political, economic, and military landscape. And even as alien factions attempted desperate measures to reclaim influence or regroup, they were consistently met with calculated precision, preemptive strikes, and integrated operations that neutralized their efforts while strengthening humanity's position. And through this relentless combination of planning, discipline, and execution, Humans not only demonstrated the effectiveness of their secret weapon, but revealed the broader capabilities, intelligence, and foresight that underpinned every decision, ensuring that the galaxy would never again view them as insignificant or powerless. And as Earth's leadership evaluated the ongoing operations, they maintained a focus on long-term objectives, operational security, and coordinated execution, reinforcing a culture of adaptability, innovation, and strategic mastery that would continue to define humanity's rise, consolidate influence, and secure a position of dominance for generations. And the story of a human's secret weapon evolved beyond a singular destructive tool into a symbol of an entire species' ingenuity, resilience, and disciplined capacity to plan, execute, and dominate across the stars, rewriting the rules of interstellar engagement, reshaping alliances, and permanently altering the expectations of every civilization that had ever doubted their power or underestimated their potential. As humanity's influence and control continued to expand across the galaxy, alien factions found themselves trapped between fear, confusion, and desperation, unable to coordinate effective resistance against a species that had mastered the integration of intelligence, technology, and strategy. And from Earth's command centers, Admiral Lucas Hayes and Chief Engineer Dr. Emily Tran oversaw simultaneous operations across multiple contested sectors, combining stealth reconnaissance, autonomous drone deployments, and advanced predictive models that allowed human fleets to anticipate enemy movements, neutralize threats preemptively, and exploit even minor tactical errors with devastating efficiency. And Ambassador Alan Richards worked in parallel to secure strategic alliances, broker trade agreements, and influence undecided civilizations, leveraging humanity's reputation as an unstoppable, disciplined, and technologically superior force to expand influence without direct confrontation, wherever possible. And while alien commanders like Admiral Threx and General Calix attempted to innovate, coordinate, and deploy new technologies in desperation, humans countered each measure with precision, whether through energy redirection fields, gravitational manipulation, or rapid adaptive fleet maneuvers, leaving adversaries disoriented, demoralized, and increasingly divided. And the psychological impact of repeated defeats began to erode cohesion among alien populations, leading to internal dissent, flawed strategic planning, and opportunistic defections to the human side. And across every engagement, humans demonstrated not only superior firepower, but an unparalleled mastery of strategy, logistics, and adaptability, combining offensive strikes with defensive positioning, autonomous support operations, and precise intelligence gathering to maintain a compounding advantage that alien forces could not hope to match. And as Earth monitored the evolving situation, leadership emphasized discipline, operational security, and continuous improvement, integrating lessons from every encounter into predictive models, fleet coordination, and technological development, ensuring that every engagement, whether minor skirmish or major fleet action, strengthened humanity's long-term position. And as neutral systems observed the precision, restraint, and efficiency of human forces, many sought alliances, intelligence sharing, or trade relations, recognizing that proximity to humanity was far safer than opposition. While hostile factions became increasingly isolated, their options reduced to reactionary tactics, desperate maneuvers, or surrender. And as operations expanded, humans implemented advanced modular warships capable of adapting to different combat environments, hyper-accelerated maneuvers, and quantum cloaking, supported by autonomous drones conducting surveillance, sabotage, and precision strikes, feeding real-time data into Central Command for continuous tactical optimization. And with every success, humanity's dominance was reinforced, as alien fleets were systematically dismantled, key systems secured, and critical hyperspace corridors controlled. And even when alien factions attempted complex coordinated offensives, human predictive modeling anticipated these strategies, allowing preemptive actions, countermeasures, and rapid redeployment that neutralized threats while conserving human resources. And this approach combined psychological, technological, and strategic pressure, creating a compounding effect that eroded confidence, command cohesion, and morale among adversaries. And as the years of strategic operations unfolded, humanity established a multidimensional control framework, integrating military strength, diplomatic influence, and technological superiority, ensuring that power was projected not just through force, but through careful management of alliances, trade networks, and information, while simultaneously degrading alien coordination and response capability. And through this holistic approach, humans maintain the initiative, control the tempo of engagements, and ensure that every victory reinforced both operational security and strategic advantage. And as new threats emerged, whether experimental technologies, hidden reserves, or unconventional tactics, humans consistently adapted, integrating these variables into predictive models, refining fleet maneuvers, and deploying countermeasures with surgical precision, leaving alien factions perpetually reactive and increasingly ineffective. And across every theater of operations, humans demonstrated that mastery of information, technology, and coordinated execution was far more decisive than raw numbers or conventional force, permanently altering the balance of power, reshaping political and economic landscapes, and establishing Earth as a center of influence, authority, and security in contested sectors. And even as alien factions attempted last-ditch resistance, their efforts were met with coordinated counterattacks, strategic interdictions, and targeted strikes that neutralized opportunities, reinforced control, and demonstrated the full scope of humanity's integrated capabilities. And through all of this, Earth's leadership maintained clarity of purpose, operational discipline, and long-term strategic planning, ensuring that every action strengthened their position, consolidated influence, and expanded understanding of the galaxy's dynamics. And the human secret weapon, initially conceived as a single, devastating strike, evolved into a broader system of dominance, intelligence, and coordination, proving that underestimation of humanity was not only a mistake, but catastrophic error. And as the galaxy adjusted to this new reality, humans continued their disciplined expansion, demonstrating that resilience, adaptability, technological mastery, and strategic brilliance could overcome any adversary, secure vital systems, and establish a position of unassailable influence, while alien civilizations confronted the sobering reality that the species they had dismissed as insignificant had transformed into the dominant, decisive force capable of dictating the rules of engagement, reshaping alliances, controlling critical resources, and defining the future of interstellar relations for generations to come. And as Earth monitored, planned, and executed operations with meticulous precision, it became clear that humanity's rise was not an accident or anomaly, but a result of decades of preparation, foresight, and relentless execution, ensuring that the underestimated species from a small blue-green planet had become an unstoppable power whose influence, technological sophistication, and strategic insight would permanently alter the galaxy's balance of power, and whose secret weapon had only been the opening statement in a campaign of dominance, control, and redefinition of what it meant to survive, prosper, and prevail across the stars. As humanity's campaigns extended into previously unchallenged sectors, the alien factions were forced to confront the devastating reality that their conventional doctrines, technological arsenals, and centuries of assumed superiority were utterly insufficient against a species that had mastered strategy, intelligence integration, and adaptive technology. And from Earth's command centers, Admiral Lucas Hayes, Chief Engineer Dr. Emily Tran, and Ambassador Alan Richards coordinated operations that spanned multiple sectors, integrating real-time sensor data, stealth reconnaissance, autonomous drone networks, and predictive modeling to anticipate enemy movements, neutralize threats preemptively, and exploit vulnerabilities with ruthless efficiency. And while alien leaders, including Admiral Threx and General Calix, attempted to innovate, adapt, and deploy experimental technologies, each maneuver was systematically countered through energy manipulation, gravitational distortions, rapid fleet redeployment, and precise interdiction, leaving adversaries disoriented, demoralized, and increasingly fragmented. And as these engagements continued, the psychological impact of repeated failures eroded cohesion within alien fleets, fueled dissent among allied factions, and created openings that humans exploited to secure critical systems, control hyperspace corridors, and establish logistical dominance. And the cumulative effect of these victories went far beyond immediate military success, as humanity's reputation spread across the galaxy, reshaping political calculations, alliances, and trade networks, with previously neutral civilizations seeking collaboration, intelligence sharing, and strategic alignment to avoid conflict or ensure survival, while hostile factions face isolation, dwindling resources, and continuous pressure. And every operation reinforced human mastery of multidimensional warfare, integrating offensive and defensive maneuvers, autonomous and crewed forces, technological superiority, and predictive intelligence into a seamless, self-reinforcing framework. And as humans refined their technologies, they developed adaptive warships capable of reconfiguring weaponry, shields, and propulsion in response to evolving threats, complemented by autonomous drones capable of precise strikes, sabotage, and reconnaissance, all feeding real-time data into central command for continuous operational improvement. And this integration of technology, intelligence, and strategic planning allowed humans to dictate the tempo of engagements, control outcomes, and project influence across vast distances, while alien factions remained trapped in reactive cycles, struggling to anticipate human moves, counter superior tactics, and maintain internal cohesion. And as years passed, humans expanded control over resource-rich star systems, strategic orbital positions, and key hyperspace lanes, consolidating both military and economic influence, while integrating allied civilizations into a cooperative framework that reinforced stability, intelligence sharing, and logistical efficiency. And across every engagement, humans demonstrated a combination of patience, precision, and discipline that transformed victories into lasting strategic advantage, reshaping regional and interstellar power dynamics, and ensuring that every success, whether in battle, negotiation, or technological demonstration, contributed to perception of humanity as an unstoppable, disciplined, and adaptive force, capable of overcoming numerically superior or technologically advanced opponents. And as the Council and alien leadership observed these operations, they were confronted with the grim truth that underestimation of humans had been a catastrophic error, and that any attempt to reclaim influence without extraordinary planning, coordination, and adaptation was doomed to failure. And even as desperate factions attempted sabotage, infiltration, or hidden offensives, humans anticipated, countered, and exploited these actions to further consolidate control, expand influence, and reinforce the deterrence of future resistance. And within Earth's leadership, lessons from each engagement were analyzed, integrated, and applied to refine predictive models, optimize fleet maneuvers, and accelerate technological innovation, ensuring continuous superiority, adaptability, and preparedness for any contingency. And this relentless cycle of planning, execution, and improvement established humanity not only as a military power, but as a decisive force shaping interstellar relations, trade, diplomacy, and security, with every alien species forced to recognize that conventional assumptions, brute force, or historical dominance were meaningless against a disciplined, intelligent, and technologically advanced species capable of coordinated, multi-domain operations. And as humanity continued to expand, they maintained operational security, discipline, and clarity of purpose, ensuring that every system controlled, every fleet deployed, and every alliance formed contributed to long-term dominance, influence, and stability. And through the combination of technological innovation, strategic mastery, and psychological insight, humans demonstrated that even a species once dismissed as insignificant could achieve unparalleled influence and control, rewrite doctrines of warfare, and redefine the balance of power across the galaxy. And the story of the secret weapon, initially conceived as a singular strike capable of devastating fleets, evolved into a broader representation of human ingenuity, foresight, and coordinated execution, symbolizing the rise of a species whose capabilities, discipline, and strategic brilliance ensured that underestimation was a fatal error, that every engagement victory and operation solidified their position as the dominant force, and that humanity's influence, technological sophistication, and integrated operations would continue to reshape the galaxy, dictate the rules of engagement, and secure their preeminent role among civilizations for generations to come, leaving no doubt that the species from Earth had become the defining power in interstellar affairs, and that the secret weapon was only the opening statement in a campaign of sustained dominance, control, and influence that would forever alter perception, strategy, and expectations of every civilization that had once dismissed or underestimated them. With the galaxy now fully aware of humanity's unprecedented capabilities, Earth's leadership recognized that the decisive moment had arrived not only to consolidate their influence, but to establish a lasting framework of dominance that would secure humanity's position for generations. And from deep within secure command centers, Admiral Lucas Hayes coordinated the deployment of the most advanced human fleets ever assembled, their modular warships optimized for multi-domain engagements, hyper, acceleration maneuvers, gravitational manipulation, and energy redirection, while Chief Engineer Dr. Emily Tran oversaw the integration of next-generation drones capable of autonomous reconnaissance, precision strikes, and adaptive sabotage, all feeding real-time data into a comprehensive predictive matrix that allowed humanity to control outcomes across vast distances. And Ambassador Alan Richards negotiated with previously neutral or hesitant civilizations, presenting humanity as both an unassailable military force and a disciplined, rational, and strategically oriented partner, ensuring that alliances were built not on fear alone but on mutual benefit, stability, and shared security. And as alien factions attempted desperate maneuvers to challenge human dominance, each effort was systematically neutralized, whether through preemptive interdiction, targeted strikes, technological countermeasures, or psychological operations designed to exploit fear over confidence and internal dissent. And across multiple theaters of conflict, humans demonstrated flawless integration of strategy, technology, and intelligence, executing complex operations that dismantle remaining enemy fleets, capture strategic systems, and secure hyperspace corridors essential to interstellar commerce and mobility. And as alien leaders convened emergency councils, the full-scale humanity's rise became undeniable, revealing that underestimation, complacency, and adherence to outdated doctrines had been catastrophic errors, and that humans possess a level of foresight, adaptability, and execution precision that allowed them to control the tempo, location, and outcome of every engagement. And the psychological impact of this dominance rippled through alien societies, fostering fear, hesitation, and defections that further weakened their capacity to resist, while simultaneously reinforcing perception of humanity as an unstoppable, disciplined, and strategically brilliant species. And on Earth, leadership maintained focus on long-term stability, integrating lessons from every engagement into predictive models, refining fleet coordination, and advancing technological innovation, including quantum communications, self-repairing vessels, adaptive energy arrays, and modular weaponry, ensuring that every future engagement will be conducted with the full spectrum of human capability. And as years passed, humanity transformed contested sectors into zones of influence, stabilizing trade, ensuring security, and creating a web of alliances, cooperative civilizations, and monitored corridors that left alien powers with minimal options, reinforcing the inevitability of human supremacy. And in every battle, negotiation, or strategic maneuver, the legacy of the secret weapon, originally a singular devastating strike, was amplified through systemic superiority, intelligence integration, and operational mastery, demonstrating that the initial fleet-shattering attack was only the first proof of a species whose ingenuity, discipline, and coordination redefined the standards of interstellar warfare, strategy, and diplomacy, and as humans projected influence, secured critical systems, and neutralized threats, the galaxy gradually adapted to a new reality in which Earth's inhabitants were not merely survivors, but the dominant force capable of dictating terms, enforcing security, and shaping political, technological, and economic landscapes. And the alien civilizations that once mocked, underestimated, or ignored humanity were now compelled to recognize the irreversible shift in power, their doctrines rendered obsolete, their fleets diminished, and their alliances fractured. And humans, disciplined, patient, and strategically minded, continue to integrate intelligence, technology, and operational expertise into a seamless network that allowed them to monitor threats, anticipate challenges, and project force with surgical precision, ensuring that every victory, alliance, and territorial gain was permanent and sustainable. And the story of humanity's secret weapon, which began as a singular act of destructive genius, had become the foundation for a new era of human supremacy, demonstrating that intelligence, innovation, strategic foresight, and disciplined execution could overcome any obstacle, destroy any fleet, and outmaneuver any adversary. And as the final alien forces either surrendered, defected, or retreated, the galaxy acknowledged that the underestimated species from a small blue-green planet had risen to unmatched prominence, rewriting the rules of engagement, shaping interstellar politics, and establishing a legacy of dominance that would endure for generations. And Earth's leaders, while vigilant, disciplined, and precise, understood that their species had not only survived the scorn, dismissal, and attacks of the galaxy, but had emerged as a decisive, preeminent force whose capabilities and strategy Technology and coordinated execution would never again be doubted, ignored, or underestimated. And the secret weapon that shattered an entire fleet had revealed the true nature of humanity, a species capable of unmatched innovation, relentless determination, and strategic brilliance, ensuring that the galaxy would never forget the lesson that underestimating humans was a mistake with consequences measured not in weeks, months, or years, but across generations. And as humans looked to the stars, prepared for future challenges, and solidified their dominance, the full realization of their potential, ingenuity, and coordinated power became clear, leaving the galaxy to accept the inevitable truth that humanity's rise was complete, irreversible, and absolute, and that the species from Earth would forever define the balance of power among civilizations, the rules of engagement in interstellar warfare, and the expectations of what it meant to be a force capable of both survival and total dominance across the stars.